How's it going, guys? It's Monday afternoon, I guess now. Back out in the garage for a little while. Just snow blowed again. Cleared everything out in the street. Time to make gaskets. I went and got a piece of exhaust pipe, the same outside diameter that I need to punch these holes. And as you can see, it has a little taper to it from them doing it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace it out. And I could experiment with whacking it, but I think I'm just going to run to work and pop them out with the press. There you go. Now we'll take these. I'll line this bad boy up. Look at that, exact. I'll put a plate on it. I'll go into the press. And the way I did it last time when I did the mini bike ones is I press it down. And you just grab the material and turn it. Next thing you know, it's floating free. And the piece is inside here. So. Nice. Okay, so basically I did 8 holes. Started to crush the tool with a pipe. I actually crushed this end. I had to recut it and do it again. So, called it good after the 8 of them. So let's see how it works out. That's always a good sign when they line up with the holes, right? Yeah. Okay, we're getting there. Let's make sure these holes are exactly where they have to be, and I'll punch them with the puncher. So looks like I do these gaskets all over again. There you go, like store-bought. Nice. Anybody want to play gasket checkers? They do punch a nice hole. Let me tell you, it does punch a nice hole. Okay, nice. Left the gasket sticking out there a little bit like I did before. I like that. I like that. Sparkle wires going here, out the other side. See the yellow in the back? It's a nitrous line coming in. I can put the spacers on and the nitrous if I really want to. I think the next thing we're going to do is the valve covers. Then we'll work our way up, so I don't have to work around any of that to do the valve covers. That metal thing right there, just laying down over the heater motor, is my temperature sender that comes out to the center of the intake. Obviously that's where the fuel block's going to be, which we got to clean this thing out. I'm sure there's sanding particles and stuff in there that'll destroy my carburetors. That goes something like that, but obviously higher. As you can see, I never got rid of the holes in the intake. That's what that originally was. This was the block that they used. So I didn't want to take the history away. I could have just put a dot of whatchamacallit, JB Weld on that, sanded it. You would have never known. Texture right over it. I just didn't want to take that away from it. So yeah, this took a lot longer than I thought. Between having to clean up out front this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning so the missus can go to work, to Skittles getting sick and finding out Skittles has pneumonia, so that we spent hours at the vet. So cross your fingers. We got her on heavy antibiotics. We don't want to lose Skittles. And then running to the store, then running to work, then running home. So I don't know, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock now. So I'm probably gonna call it. So some days just don't go, you don't get a lot done. So, but there's something very relaxing about doing the mechanical work. So let's see if we can make this look like something. So yeah, Ziggy said he knows these are hard to get. This is what I see the problem as. This is pipe thread, that isn't. So everything everybody tries to screw into it is pipe thread. And as you can see, that thread is not pipe thread. So I looked at all my fittings, all my old fittings or whatever, and I do not have this one. So I think our Peak ran into this problem. Remember Mr. Peak, when you were trying to do your temperature gauge, you didn't have the right one, and you bought another gauge and all of a sudden you had the right fitting? This might be the fitting you were looking for too. So it's probably made just for this, believe it or not. So we'll make it look good. I'm not clear coating it again. Definitely not. I'd rather it turn dull than turn black. Okay. Done. I hit it with 220, flat on the sides to get the clear coat off. Then I cleaned it up with a Scotch-Brite pad. Put a little Teflon sealer on the threads and she's in. Doesn't have to pass any electricity through it. The capillary bulb thing just sits right in there, which I could put in, but that's where I bleed my coolant out when I fill the radiator. So I bring it till it's right there, screw it in, and when I fire up the car, I don't have a big air pocket inside this engine. So I have to paint the thermostat housing. I don't want to leave it blue. I'm going to do it that cast irony color like I did once before. I have to get a new thermostat. I don't want to put this one back in. I don't see the point. So I had a, looks like it says 180. Yeah, I had a 180 there. I used to run a 160. What I find on a 160 is unless you got a really big radiator, a 160 will work its way up to 180 because the radiator can't keep up because it never has time to cool. So I found this car always running at 180 when I would get stuck in traffic. And believe it or not, from 160 to 180, the idle changes on this car. So very temperature sensitive with the amount of engine work in that tunnel ram setup. So with that, I said to myself, let's just run 180 and I'll tune the car for the 180, which it did. And I've never had this car higher than 190. So I don't know how it would handle down in Florida or over by Tom Noble there. I think it would just melt without a bigger radiator. But running it here, we seem to be good. And most of the days I run it, it's evening time. Still hot. Still hot out. But, you know, most cruise nights are Saturday night. And we'll go out Thursday night. Well, there's one every night, but those are the two main ones I go to. So I can't go every night. Gotta have a life other than cars, I think. So with that, I gotta pick up a thermostat, gasket obviously. We'll clean that, housing, we'll get all that back in. We'll just keep moving along. We'll keep moving along. I gotta go this week and pick up the carburetor kits. It's local. It's 2 towns over from where I work. It's actually in between where I live and where I work. So to run there on lunchtime is not a big deal. Just gotta call the guy and make sure he has a set of them, which he should. And we'll get that done too. And that's it. We'll fire this bad boy back up. I want to drain all the fuel out of it. So I want to pump it out. I'm going to pop the line off the fuel pump and just suck it all out. So I mean, it seemed good. It ran fine, but I just want to start with fresh gas. So I figure that's a wise move. And change my fuel filter in the back.